Our third session will be a fireside chat on joining the tech professional services, where we will be focusing on what it takes to join a tech consulting career. I'd like to pass this time over to the moderator, Cheryl, who is taking a Bachelor of Computer Science, specializing in data science and minoring in finance. As for the speaker for this session, we are utterly honored to have Ms. Carmen, who is one of the key leaders looking after the digital and emerging technology practices together with her teammate, and is a director of technology consulting of Ernst & Young's. Let's pass the floor to them.
All right, thanks, Choi. So, hi, Ms. Carmen. So before we begin, could you briefly explain the term tech consulting to the participants? Ms. Carmen, you are muted.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Maybe just before I begin, maybe I'll do a sound check first. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, and you can see my video, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. And I hope you have had a good 1.5 day session so far, right? Based on your agenda. Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on your question earlier, right, a little bit on what does tech consulting actually mean, right?
Yeah.
So in a broader scale, right, I think tech consulting here actually mean helping, right, our clients solve real world problems, right, as well as their business problems, right, but more on focusing on technology related areas, right. And technology here in this day and era has evolved so much, right. I guess from when I was a uni student, right, until today, right, it has evolved from, I think, what we call like the traditional technology, where you have your large scale SAP, right, SAP brands, right, your Oracle brands, as to now technology is more towards something that everyone is able to relate to, which is digital and emerging technology, right? And digital here all means that anything that is actually very much relevant to customers and yourselves, right? You use apps every day, mobile apps, right? Technologies that you use to actually run your life, even, right? Things like Grab, right? Platforms, your e-wallets and things like that, right? So it's such a vast and broad perspective for technology right now, you know. And I think this topic is getting more and more relevant. And in fact, I think I'm sure a lot of you would love to understand how to actually get into such an area, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So thanks for your great sharing. So can I ask, like, did you always know that you want to work in the technology field?
Yeah, surprisingly, as cliche as it may sound, I've actually always known that I wanted to do technology. I studied technology, and I actually, during my studies when I was a uni student, which is I think more than 10 years ago, I studied in Multimedia University in Cyberjaya. When I did my course, I actually didn't enjoy programming at all, right? I'm not actually a very logical person in the sense the if-else logics mean naturally to me, like it doesn't compute naturally in my brains, right? So that was a little bit of a struggle for me, but I really enjoy the topic of technology in the sense I can actually foresee when I was studying how technology can be so relevant in a lot of areas of our lives. So things like how it's evolved today, right? It's something that I actually kind of foresee, right? And I've always wanted to get myself into, right? And I think the biggest question that I've always had in my mind is, how do one actually do technology if they are not actually looking into doing programming at all, right? And that was actually the question that was bothering me while I was studying as a student, and I was trying to look for answers around, right? And that's how I actually found out about consulting, in fact. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So after you know that you are not good in programming and all, so what introduced you into like this field in tech consulting? So is tech consulting like one of your first job?
Yeah, so I kind of put down, or I kind of wrote down, right, what is some key areas that I must have for something that I see as my career after I graduate, right? I don't believe that not enjoying programming is something that stops myself from doing technology, because I believe technology is such a big area to begin with, right? You need all sorts of skill sets. So I was trying to find out what do I actually want to do, right, with regards to technology. So I know I enjoy the topic. I also enjoy solving problems, right, constructively. So I actually went and looked for, is there a career that actually allows dynamic changing of roles? So things that doesn't keep me stagnant in a role. So for example, if I were to join a particular position, I don't want to actually, for example, be, let's say, maybe a software engineer coding for a particular company, right? So I was just looking for, is there anything that is dynamic, that is ever changing, but at the same time allows me to stay relevant to technology, right? So then I actually found out about consulting, and I did my internship as actually already a technology consulting intern, right? So I got my step or my first foot into it, right? And actually when I first started, it was in a very large transformation project, and that time technology transformation project is not so much digital. It's actually looking into helping the client transform their billing systems so that they can actually bill customers in a more efficient way, right? Rather than, it started off with like paper billing last time, right? A lot of things are done through paper. So during my era, a lot of things are around converting things into more technology process, streamlining, right? Converting things into computers, right, data entry and things like that, so that you don't actually have to manage all this on your own, right? So those were things that I stepped foot in, and then I realized that from there, I'm actually able to then do something different, right? Because when you're in consulting, you don't actually stay true to just one project for too long of a period. So in a way, it gives me exposure to different industries, right? So then I was exposed to telco industry, right? There's also, I was also in utility industry heavily. I was also in FSO or financial services, right? And also the smaller industry like e-commerce and all that. So yeah, it was fun actually. I'm still enjoying my career, honestly.
Oh, okay. So I see, by joining a tech consulting, not only you need like technological knowledge, right? So do you need like other business domain knowledge as well?
I think that's a good question. Of course, if you have technology knowledge, like for, I think most of the students here, right, all of you are from computer science background, right? I'm speaking for majority, yeah. So I think it's good in the sense, if you have some form of technology knowledge, it curates that easier relevance when you do things like Google, right? If you want to try to find out information, you already know, oh, network has your 7 layers, right? And all sorts of technology terms that you already know. You don't actually have to kind of bump into it, right? But I'm not saying that you actually really need technology background. It just makes things easier for you, right? It just gives you a good head start lah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So maybe can you share a little bit about like what you do as a tech consultant like this day, and like what is your like day of a life of a tech consultant?
Sure. I'll just speak of my latest project right now. So I'm actually serving the utility client right now, right? And we're actually doing something really fun for them. In fact, it's something that everyone is using right now. Is a utility company where we're helping them to actually modernize their billing app, right? So when you use utility, you will need to pay your bill, right? So we're introducing new, fun and smart features, right, to help the app do some form of forecasting, so that it's a little bit smarter to help you budget your utility usage, right? And also recommend, right, what form of payment should you do. For example, normally if you're paying 200 ringgit, and then we will tell you, hey, this month you've been using a little bit too much of your utility, right? Do you want to actually set some form of budget so that you don't actually overuse it next month and things like that? Yeah. And why I said this is fun is because, right, it's something that is so relevant that I myself is also a user of the app, right? That's one. And I think the second thing is a lot of things right now that we're doing around technology. I think I'm sure you've heard of this term called customer centricity, right? So it's not really like building an app or building a technology or even a simple technology that you want anyone to use, right? Things like your class booking, you know how you have like your online class booking, right? And some of it, right, is just built to help you to book classes, right? It's as simple as that. But if they actually push it further. Maybe Taylor's one is really great. I have no idea, to be honest, right? But if let's say they were to apply the concept of ensuring that the whole customer experience or the user journey of using that particular portal is really easy to use, right? So what they will do is they will actually ensure customer centricity, right? So meaning they would go to students, right, get feedback and ask like, actually, what's the most difficult thing about using this portal, right? Can you share with us, right? How do you think we can improve? And sometimes the fixes are really easy. It can be as simple as just writing one line of logics, and it actually makes a whole world of difference, right? But taking that step to actually go and find out and making that change is actually usually what is the biggest challenge for most businesses, right? If you apply it to a larger scale, right, something as simple as that, you think about it, most of the time, what you can think about, someone else can also think about, right? Most of the time it's doable. It's just whether there's a structured manner to do it. And that is where consultants come in, actually. So we are the ones who help them to actually plan, right, construct, and think, okay, how can we approach this in a very structured manner, right? It's not like, okay, I want to do it tomorrow, I go and do it, right? So we have to analyze what's the impact, right? Actually, if you do this, what's the effort required? Who do you need to do this? As well as how long do you need to do this, right? So a day in my life is something like this already, right? I'm actually looking at, okay, if we're going to do this, okay, how are we going to do it? Right, who is going to help us do it? And sometimes I need to, of course, take care of how much does it takes to how much does it cost to do this. So for example, if today my job is actually to attend meetings, right, to see where is the status of the progress of my project, right? Are we on track? Are we behind time? Is there anything to actually overcome? Right, and also when we do such rollouts, right, especially on apps and also any portals related, we actually even go down to customer sites, right, and really test it out, right? So I just actually went down to Malacca and actually did a real rollout of the testing itself to make sure that the real customers who are using it are actually able to give us feedback, and then we are actually able to detect if there's any errors, in fact, right? Because things we do are very closely knitted to utility, and it's a lot of infrastructure involved as well. So that's why we had to go there, and then yeah, I came back this morning. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's something around what I do lah.
Okay, talking about traveling, are there lots of traveling going on as a tech consultant?
I think with COVID, it's definitely much more limiting as this at this point, right? And I think with the 2 years of working, I think from anywhere, right, we have proven that work can still go on. But of course, I think it doesn't really beat face-to-face interaction for sure, right? Because our job as consultants, we face a lot of clients, right? And one of the key thing is to build rapids. And normally it's easier to build rapids when you have face-to-face interaction somehow. Yeah, that is definitely warmer. But traveling wise, I think right now it's definitely not much at all. In fact, it's only this one that we had a really small team over there to go and plan out, and yeah, to ensure that we don't bring in the whole team, right, and endanger lives now, because there are still people who are not have not gotten booster, right? And I think there's also the flood situation going on, right? So yeah, we are sensitive about that lah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. So talking about projects, right? So how long does a project normally last, and like how big is the team that will be working on like one project?
Yeah, I think usually a project, it depends. If we have projects like prototyping, right, something simple to just help a client to prove a concept, it can be as quick as 8 weeks, right? Or if let's say there's a longer project where we actually aim to help clients to do technology transformation and modernization, meaning to say looking at how the client's technology landscape is today, right? What channel do they serve clients with, customers with, right? What billing system do they use, and things like that. We help them analyze, and if they want to transform it, it may take about at least 1 year and even more than that. And this these large projects are somewhat, I would say, very fulfilling, right? Because it gives you that ability to see change, right? As well as you can see actually your work coming to life, right? And actually, that is one of the best part about what I do, right? Is really translating into what you can see. It's very tangible, in fact. Yeah.
Talking about this, so what is your biggest learning from this career as a tech
My biggest learning?
consultant? Yeah.
Yeah. I think my biggest learning so far is I learned a lot about what I love as my career, which is I enjoy very fast-paced, ever-changing dynamics, right? Because when you are looking at doing consulting as a career, be it business or even technology itself, right? You're already expecting that kind of fast-paced momentum, right? That ever-changing dynamics, because if your project ends, you're supposed to move on, right? Of course, the records that you build on the way is something that you can keep at heart, right? But I definitely enjoy the ever-changing environments that I can be exposed to, right? Key learnings here is despite the very fast pace of things that we're all going through every day, right? It's always very easy to kind of lose yourself in things, in the sense that you know how when work is just all about work, and like how when you study, it's all about studying, right? But I think the most important thing is we need to learn how to take care of ourselves, right? Your own mental health, right? Your own emotional health, your physical health. You kind of need to make sure you set time to do exercise, right? To eat right. It's so easy to just, oh, screw it, I'll just order McD or KFC, you know, it's something so easy, right? But it's making effort to really take care of yourself. As well as I think taking care of people that you work with, right? A lot of times, of course, when people hire consultants, they really expect a very fast, high turnaround pace, and as well as quality deliverable, of course, right? But yeah, we have to kind of like look out for how can we actually take care of each other, right? And also and still deliver, right? I believe this still can be done, right? It's just about making more effort lah. Yeah.
So talking about the fast-paced environment, so in your opinion, like what are some of the other risks or problems that you might face as a tech consultant?
Risk and problems. Okay.
Yeah.
I think. Okay. So I think risk probably I think so far actually in terms of risk, I think the only thing is, if let's say, right, when you kickstarted this career, and technology is, I think the only risk I can imagine right now, right, for yourself, putting myself in your shoes right now, is probably the risk of, let's say, if I were to kind of kickstart this career, and probably because now with the whole COVID situation, it might make it difficult for everyone like yourself to warm up to the working industry, right? To even get to know people, to ask the right question, right? And even to reach out is actually something that is not too simple, right? If you're in the office, you literally can just walk up and just talk to someone, right? So I think the risk here is probably once you do it, right, you probably realize it's not your cup of tea, maybe, right? Or even when you do it, maybe you're not doing it with the right firm, right? Because there's a lot of opportunities out there, right? How do I know which firm is good to kind of kickstart the career, right? Or even the risk of, I guess, following through, let's say, the thought process of it's not so much of when you start a career, right? It's not so much about tying a specific expectation to it. I know this because, right, I do interviews and I do speak to students often, right? And some of students, right, I guess, come in with this very, very fixed mindset of what you want to do. Like, hey, I just want to do data analytics, and it has to be only data, right? But what if I have actually a project that exposes you to doing something larger, right? It's data, yes, but also other things lah. So I think the risk here, if I can say accurately, is being too rigid lah with your expectations. Yeah. And I guess in terms of looking at this risk, right, what I can really advise based on my experience so far, right, of doing this is really keeping an open mind, right? I don't believe that even if you started this and you think that, okay, you know what, this is really maybe something not I would like to do as my career, but I can actually assure you that whatever you've learned in consulting, be it technology or business, is definitely going to impact your life somehow in the way of how you construct and think. Because consulting is not so much just about the specific topic like, oh, I'm doing data, I'm doing digital, I'm doing technology, I'm doing SAP, I'm doing Oracle. It's also about how you put your thought process together in a structured manner, if that makes sense. It's how you actually tackle problem, right? How you actually help problems to be solved in a smaller, more manageable manner, if that makes sense as well. Yeah. And you can actually apply it through any areas of your life, in fact, right? So even if you don't end up doing consulting as your career, if you do a startup eventually or whatnot, right, it's definitely a good exposure, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's a great advice that to keep an open mind in everything, not only in tech consulting, I think in life also, so that like we can gain more knowledge about all the different areas. Right?
Yeah. I think that's definitely going to bring you somewhere for sure.
Yeah, so moving on, so do you think that it's necessary like to come from a tech background if you go into tech consulting or advisory?
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's not, okay, if it's my take here, I don't think it's necessary, honestly, but of course, it would be great if you come from tech background because it gives you a kickstart. Yeah. So it means that if I were to, let's say tomorrow, if you were to kickstart a project, right, and it's very tech-centric and there's a lot of things to pick up, it will be faster for you. But honestly, if you are someone who is keen to learn and is just willing to go through everything as it is, which is, I think, how actually everyone learns about new topics nowadays, right? You just kind of stumble it upon Instagram sometimes, Google, TikTok, or whatever it is, right? I don't think it matters so much as long as you really want to get to know the topic. So I guess apply the same curiosity to your career and what you do, right? And yeah, it should be fine, yeah. But definitely having technology background is a leverage to have.
I see. Okay, so as like we are all mostly students from this, the participants are mostly students. So what should like fresh graduate expect when they like first started their tech career in like tech consulting?
Okay. So for tech graduates, it depends on the role that you look for, right? If you look for a more generalist role in technology, I would say, generalist here being you're just applying to try out to be a business analyst, right? Or a functional analyst, or let's say, for example, something that has nothing to do with you doing programming, right, at your job, right? That is, I guess, the expectation here is then when you get onto the job, right, the expectation is definitely for you to already be, to a certain extent, have written good English, right? In good written English, sorry. Yeah, you can, because if you're gonna be doing a generalist role, right, you'll be doing a lot more client fronting, translating what they say into minutes, right? You'll be writing a lot of minutes, a lot of documents, right? For sure, because you will be grasping all the industry terms, all the new terms that you're listening to, right? And kind of correlate them to what you have studied, right? Because you studied, for example, computer science, right? There are some things that actually can be related to, and a lot of, I would say, a lot of connecting the dots. Yeah. So it's a lot of documentation as well. So that I think is definitely something that you should expect, right? Whereas for a non-generalist, which is the more technical side, programmer, right, or even your front end, your front end designer, your web-based kind of design people, right? So those, I guess the expectation is definitely just to be able to do whatever programming that is required. For example, if it's to build a specific module, specific feature, right, on .NET, right, or even JavaScript, right? Yeah, so I think that's the rough expectation.
Okay, that's a great sharing. So other than that, like when working on a project, can you share like what are some of the differences between like being in a management consulting firm, so like EY, and like being in like a normal corporate organization, like in terms of working on a tech project?
Okay, your question is, what's the difference between being a management consultant in EY
You know,
versus
like
being, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
so what's the difference between like working on a project between working in a management consulting firm and working in like a normal corporate that focus on
Okay,
a
okay.
specific product?
Okay, okay. So working in the consulting firm versus normal corporate.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think to maybe help you understand it further, if you're serving on the consulting side of work, right, then your day-to-day life is definitely being you will have a client to serve per se, like you will have someone that you're going to be going on a project to help solve problems, right? So if let's say you were to be joining EY, say for example, right, and EY serves let's say a telco client, right, and we have to do a project with them for 3 months. So then that's pretty much how we go about within our days, right? Whereas in corporate, I can imagine it to be, right, they will have very specific roles and functionality within a structure in an organization or team in an organization, where you can probably rotate around doing the job, but you actually report to your own business leads, right? You may have consultants, even you work with consultants maybe, right? But you're not serving someone, if I can say that really bluntly. Yeah, but it's a totally different structure altogether, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So what do you think are like the top 3 skills needed to like join this pathway as a consultant?
Top 3 skills needed.
Yeah.
If I were to interview someone, I will look for these skills. Yeah. Okay. Normally when I really look for skills, I would definitely look for how detail oriented this person is and how meticulous this person is, because attention to details is really something that sets you apart in this industry or the line of job that we do, right? Because we are always producing some form of guide or reference for the clients to look at or to even follow through, right? So we have to be very on top of our own work, right? So that's one. Number 2 is definitely on your attitude of how much you're keen to learn, dynamic and open-minded in terms of what you will get assigned to, right? Because in consulting, that is, I would say, something that is so important, because there's no guarantee. Like for example, Cheryl, tomorrow you'll be doing this project, tomorrow probably another month you'll be doing that project, right? It's so dynamic that things changes, right? And that open mind is so necessary, right? That's something that I will look for. And then lastly is definitely curiosity, right? Like how curious you are to actually do things out of your comfort zone. So for example, I will ask things like, okay, what if you're not sure about this one topic? What would you actually do, right? Would you say that, you know what, you're not the right person for it, right? Or you know what, you're going to at least find out how and what is this topic about, and then probably say, you know what, probably you can like show me what's a better way to do this, things like that, right? So I just want to understand what's that level of curiosity when I speak to this one person. Yeah. So these 3 traits. Yeah.
All right. So talking about the second trait, right? So how long does the project last? And maybe do you work on one project at a time, or do you work on multiple projects like simultaneously?
Okay. So I think the project duration is as short as 8 weeks, but it can be as long as 1 year and above, right? Normally you just work on one project. You don't actually do multiple projects, because I don't think that is I mean, when you first join as a fresh graduate, definitely just one thing at a time, right? But as you progress throughout your career, you probably can oversee a few projects, right? But it depends on what is the scale, right? And the capacity of the team as well. Yeah, so to answer you, it's just one project for now.
All right. So other than that, like, do you think that being like jack of all trades or master of one is better for a tech consultant?
Yeah, this is something that is quite a good question as well. Honestly, I would say I am jack of all trades. I am not master of something, right? I'm not like a Java expert. I'm not like a .NET expert. I'm not a Microsoft expert, but I've touched all of them and I've done technology projects on all of them, right? So I know everything here and there, and I love connecting the dots. And I accept myself for what I love to do, and I feel like we all need a good balance of these two worlds, right? You need someone who actually loves stitching up the dots throughout your project, someone who actually oversees everything, right? Someone who doesn't like to find client, someone else can do it. Someone who does programming hardcore because the person loves it and is good at it. Why not, right? So I think everyone can just balance each other out depending on the skill set that you do, but you have to be very good at what you do for sure, right? It doesn't mean that if you're a jack of all trades, you can just say like, oh, you know what, I'm not good in this, I'm not an expert in this, right? So it's just like, okay, the work is just like that, right? But it doesn't mean that way, right? You have to do it right and you have to do it well as well. Yeah.
All right. So other than that, right, we have to like know more of like the different technological knowledge, right? So like keeping up with the latest technology trend is like essential as a tech consultant. So what advice would you give to the audience like to constantly update themselves with the latest tech news?
I think tech news also, it depends on which level of tech news that you read. It means that what I mean by levels is it can be as low level of detail as what latest and greatest Java, .NET, and all those technology has, right? It can also be from the perspective of what actually is other technology companies doing, right? What are they adopting in terms of ways of working, right? So things like, you know how agile methodology is such a big thing right now. Everyone is trying to run agile, everyone is trying to apply it, but is anyone doing it right? That is something that we always ponder upon, right? Because there's a good balance between practicality and also fast pace, right? So technology, keeping up with technology cannot or shouldn't just be around technology stacks. It can be also around how do actually people run technology projects, right? What method actually works to ensure that technology projects don't overrun. The issue with technology projects, I think even since last time, is always technology is a cost, right? How can we actually reduce the cost, right? If it overruns, it is actually extra money, right? How can we make things efficient and at the same time delivering something that is very wow, right? And you know, technology changes like ever changing, right? So knowing how to do this level of detail, where looking at delivery, how do actually people run, you know, Spotify is actually a very good example of how they run agile. So things like that is also something you can read upon and stay up to date, right? Another angle is how people are actually trying to digitalize things and make things easier. What is practical and not creating some problem in terms of technology, right? Things like, okay, of course, I'm going to mention things like e-wallets and things like that, right? The adoption of technologies, right? How technologies are actually changing lives today for the better, right? That's something that we can actually figure out as well, right? We can understand as well, right? So those trends and technology trends that that you kind of hear throughout, right? Like RPA, right? Or even blockchain and things like that, right? So if you stay up to date with all those, I think it's also good. It's not just technology, if I make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to share like, any platform where students can join or like any community they can join to like keep up with the latest news?
Platform. I usually get my news through, I think like all of you, right? Even social media. Yeah. I do, how I stay updated is also when I look at how other real life apps around me are actually working their way. Like, oh, okay, if this app can do it, can we actually apply the same method, the same style? Because being a user daily, right, and being a person who use technology every day through your phone, right, things that another app or another technology can do, right, may be applied to similar situations, but for totally different use case, right? So that's how I actually stay updated, honestly. And I don't actually have a particular site, honestly. If I have something, I'll probably revert later after this, right? But yeah, I'm just always curious about how other people are doing things, actually.
All right, so the curiosity is the one that like brings all the knowledge into you.
For now, yes.
Yeah. So as the director of tech consultant, right? So would you like to share like how did you get to where you are?
Okay. Okay, sure. I think I started out as I think I studied in multimedia university, right? I then applied an internship to a huge tech consulting firm, right? And I'm not sure what was in me, but I honestly just applied for that one job and just expect them to hire me somehow. Yeah, so and then I joined them and I started out, I joined their large telco OSS BSS transformation. OSS BSS meaning their operating and billing systems transformation. So it's really overhauling the whole systems that is required to support the whole telco, right? I think in that project was already running for 3 to 4 years when I joined, right? So it's a really huge project. It lasted on another 5 years actually when I was since I joined in intern. Yeah. So, but anyways, when I was an intern, I actually was doing something that is really not what I expect, right? I was helping to code a little bit of Java for this telco inventory system, right? Which I guess is really not my thing, but I tried, right? And I think they are really nice. They're good people. They all guide me and things like that. And then I just moved on to something else because I think naturally people will see that, you know what, oh, it's better to have Carmen doing something else, you see, because maybe she has something else that she can showcase through her talent, right? So that's the perks of consulting, actually, honestly, you can just change. So I went on to becoming an integration analyst where if you Google this, it's called enterprise architecture integration, right? So it's actually like a bus which connects all your APIs, your tech students, right? APIs, which centralizes everything on it, right? So I was doing that a little bit, and that actually create that curiosity in terms of understanding, hey, actually this whole bus is damn powerful, right? It can actually centralize and translate and convert messages into different formats. So for example, system A talks to system B, but system A actually uses their specific own method. Like let's say you speak Japanese and then system speak Korean, right? But somehow it gets translated and everyone can just like interact between each other, right? So that's the whole opening up of integration world to me. So I was really curious about, okay, how does everything stitch up together, right? Who actually think about this and designs this? So then I got myself into solution architecture, right? Which is then who is the brain behind how does all these systems talk to each other and what is the right way to do it. So that is actually what solution architecture is about. So then looking at the final side of things is not really talking about technology per se, like, okay, if we should use Oracle or SAP, not that level of detail. Is more on, okay, how should actually a system works to talk end to end in a harmonized way, right, between all these systems, right, so that it doesn't clash with each other, right, so that, for example, if Cheryl Liew is in system A, right, I don't have another Cheryl Liew that is in system B that is actually not Cheryl Liew, you see. I need to actually make sure all these things come in harmony, right? So that project actually gave me that landscape to then further myself to looking at solution architecture of systems and looking after how we data model looking at the data model relationship, I think you probably have studied this a little bit briefly. If you're not a database major, this is probably a brief one, but it's good to actually have in terms of knowledge to see, okay, when I talk about data model, how does it actually harmonize together, right? And things like that. Wouldn't go into detail, right? And then from there, I did that project for a while more, and I think that was probably like at least 5 years of technology consulting. So it actually gave me a good background about very heavy tech transformation jobs, right? As well as what key terms in the industry, right? How to do certain things, project management, ways of running, because it's such a huge project, right? You get to see really a lot of things. And then I moved on to doing something called next best action, right? You know how call center agents, when they speak to you, right? Somehow they know, okay, Cheryl, you are using product A. Why not you buy product B, right? So next best action is actually a system which is intelligent enough to actually tell you, based on your consumption, your historical data and whatnot, I would recommend you using another product, which is to upgrade you, right? Because you are already using those, might as well, right? So that's next best action. So that eventually landed me on digital topics, right? Which got me interested in what is digital compared to technology, right? So then I realized that digital is on the lighter side of things, right? Lighter in the sense it doesn't touch your heavy legacy systems. It's more on the customer front end things, your apps, your sites, and anything that actually touches the customers are all on the digital layer, right? So then we talk about your data being a lightweight virtualization layer, right? We talk about how do you actually have omni-channels, right? If I log in through iPad, how do I actually have the same thing on mobile app, right? So then that was what I was doing for another 2 years. And then now another 2 years here. Yeah, so that's about 10 years. Yeah, so now I'm heavily looking at digital transformation for companies.
Oh, that's a great experience. So from your experience, what,
A bit long.
like, yeah, it's 10 years in a summary. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so from your experience, what advice would you like to give like the participants that are looking for a career like at those top level management?
Top level management, you mean like you want to end up becoming a director and above, or top level as in you want to be like a CTO?
Top level as in director and above, like your level and above.
What advice
give
to students to kind of endure it and make it through there lah? Okay. I would say it's definitely not something you sleep and wake up with, right? I think what got me really, I would say effortlessly, is something, because this is really something that I enjoy doing, right? It doesn't feel like I'm working per se. It's something that I really see as career, in the sense I have good mentors across my career. I really keep them close in the sense I really ask them how or what should I do at certain points of my career, turning points, right? I mean, I've changed my job for about 2 times now across 10 years, right? But every time changing a job or starting a job can be really overwhelming, right? Because you don't know actually what you're getting into as much as you want to find out about it online, right? So I think, yeah, speaking to someone who works in there actually helps sometimes. But in the end, it's really your own career to kind of be accounted for. And I guess the advice that I can give is probably to have a lot of, in consulting, it's probably to have a lot of grit and endurance because of the nature of the work. It is fast-paced, but it also comes with its downside where you're dealing with a world where you are well aware of what is the right thing to do, for sure, right? You being someone that is passionate about, hey, you know, I want to tell you this solution is great, but you also have to balance it out with, you are speaking to a client who sometimes does not care, if you know what I mean, because you need to think about also how to actually make the client care about the right thing to do, right? For example, if you want to change out your billing system or change out mobile app, or even just build mobile app for the sake of having a mobile app, But why, right? Sometimes there are bigger problems to solve, right? How do we then learn to communicate this structuredly to the client and kind of meet in between of the grounds, right? That is something that is actually going to take up a lot of your time in your career, which is something that is all consulting about, right? It is about really how do you actually put forth something that you think is right for them to actually take it up and do. Yeah. And yeah, endurance is definitely a must. And I think have a good network for sure. Have a good network of people around you, right? One thing good about consulting is really the network that you can gain. You meet people that are like-minded, people who loves the same type of work, right? As well as you meet a lot of clients that actually appreciate you for changing their life sometimes, right? Because you improve their processes, you actually make things better for them, right? To some extent lah. So I would say keeping that good network will actually also help you growing up and going up there, because at the end of the day, if tomorrow that one network is actually doing so well that he actually needs help, right? It can just be a referral for you to probably jump and get that next job, right? So, and a lot of things you will need good referrals for sure. Yeah. So keeping a good network is definitely necessary. And lastly, I would say is hard work. Nothing goes, I would say nothing goes without this lah. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the hours. And yeah, you have to do that to climb, and eventually if you if this is really your thing, you definitely get there. It's just a matter of time.
Just curious, what are the normal working hours for you as a tech consultant?
This is the most common question that we get, even non-consulting people ask. I think the normal working hours, I would say, is my day starts around 8 a.m., right? Before that, I'll be doing my own preparation for the day, right? Before I start my day. And I will end my day sometime around 7:30 sometimes. But sometimes I do have calls until late night, like 12, because sometimes I work with different teams from different time zones. So I just have to learn to manage it, right? I'll get my dinner in between, right? I'll do my own thing in between, and then I'll continue my call afterwards. If it's necessary, because you work with a global team, right? Sometimes the UK hours, sometimes the India hours, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So time management is also a really important skill.
Yeah.
So also talking about clients, so as tech consultants are like more technical, so do you find it hard to communicate with your clients that don't understand technology?
Yes, I think that is something that is naturally a problem, right? But I think because in consulting we do have people who front like for example, for myself, I think one thing that if you were to look at yourself being a generalist, one key strength is definitely probably to add this is to be able to, like you said to people who are very non-technical, how do you converse, right? One key strength is for you to be able to bridge that, right? So a strong business analyst should be able to do that, meaning to say you should be able to connect both technology and business world together, meaning you are the bridge, right? How do you actually speak technology related requirements, but to business people you kind of layman it a little bit. Yeah. I don't mean disregarding the importance of what technology needs to do, but how do you actually explain that importance in a business manner? Yeah, that's actually a strength.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So moving on to the last question. So how much do you think that it takes for a tech consultant, like to climb up the corporate ladder, and like what is needed to stand out in like this kind of big corporate?
How much does it take, meaning?
Like what do you need to do, or like to stand out and like to climb up the corporate ladder, and also like to stand out in this kind of big environment? Yeah.
If I want to say a straightforward, simple answer, maybe I would say join EY. Yeah, just joking. I think what does it take to kind of like do, I guess, what I do, right? I think definitely make the effort to really let me see, when I was like applying for a job and kickstarting my foot in, right? What did I actually think about, right? I'm trying to recall here. Honestly, I didn't really think so far. I actually honestly didn't think that I'm gonna be a director in technology consulting. It's just really taking it one step at a time. So I guess maybe the better advice I could give is really to look at it one step at a time, right? And really see what you are doing right then. Then if it's really something that you see yourself doing it without feeling like you have to drag yourself out of the bed every day, right? You love it. And I think you would definitely get there one, trust me. If you are good at what you do and if you enjoy what you do, it is only a natural thing that you're going to end up there, honestly.
That's some
Yeah.
great advice. So moving on, we will get to the Q&A session where we will bring in participants' questions. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so there's some questions. So for the first one, how is the supply and demand of the industry as well as the pay scale?
Okay. I would say the supply and demand. Let me think. This is a bit technical, yeah. Supply being the jobs available versus people applying for it, right? So I think there's definitely more than enough jobs for the demand of industry if I understand my general knowledge at this point correctly. Because even like for myself and the firm, right, we're all hiring and we are always looking for good talents, right? So I think it's definitely something that it's supply more than demand, I would say. Yeah. As well as the pay scale. I think this one maybe I need my HR to answer later. Yeah, probably a question that they will need to take it out. Yeah. So I think we will leave it. I'll leave it to that.
Okay, sure. So we'll move on.
I can quickly take on this one, the pay scale. Yeah. So actually, we can't give you an exact figure of what is the pay scale for people who join the technology consulting subsidies line, but I think enough to say that we pay, if not according to market rate, then slightly more. So don't worry, you are well paid if you were to join a big firms like EY. So don't worry about that.
All right, thanks, Iliana. So moving on to the next question. So what type of technology skill do technology consultants need to know and have? And what can we as students equip ourselves beforehand?
Okay. Okay, so I think it's a good thing if you really think about two tracks, right? The first one being a generalist, right? So generalist, what I really see it would be good for you to kind of adapt yourself with is definitely the ways of working in terms of technology projects, right? Agile methodology is definitely something you want to actually study up, right? If you have the time, get certified. Of course, I understand that you have a lot of homework as well, I'm sure, now being a virtual class and everything, but that is something that is good to have understanding on, right? I think you don't even need to really go and study it. There's a lot of YouTube videos actually about Agile, Scrum methodology, right? What does it mean? That's something that you should look at. As generalists as well, I think what's important is also understanding the latest technology trends, right? What are the uprising trends that is coming up right now just in the landscape of technology? Doesn't matter technology or digital, right? Just probably have a Google at that. What is the latest and greatest terms, right? Why I say terms is because so that in our line, sometimes when you speak to when you serve clients, right, it's always good to just have a few words at the back pocket and say, oh, you know what, RPA, oh, RPA is this, right? You don't need to be an expert in RPA, but you just probably need to understand, oh, okay, RPA is this. What is blockchain? Oh, okay, blockchain is this, right? So just that few knowledge here and there would help you with conversations sometimes, right? So generally, right, for core technical people, I would say that it's good for you to, this is also very much dependent on what you are actually passionate in, right? If you can be a full stack person, great, right? Full stack here being front end, middle layer, and back end, you can bao or you can tackle it all. That's what I'm trying to say. So that is actually great because there's a lot of things that is really moving quickly, right? If you can actually help to actually just quickly showcase something from a full stack perspective, right? Yeah, that's something that is highly sought after right now. Of course, if you're just not a full stack person, right? If you're really good at just looking at the front end layers of technology, right? Then yeah, why not? It's still highly sought after, right? If you're looking at, you just like to stitch things up, middleware, that kind of thing. Middleware actually is a very hot topic right now. Microservices, right? Microservices is like the thing that everyone wants to get to and do right now. So microservices on Microsoft Azure platform, right? On your AWS platform. So another thing that comes hand in hand with microservices is definitely your cloud technologies. So anything to do with cloud right now, right, is definitely the thing that you should understand. What is cloud actually, right? You should actually know what that means, right? What technologies can you apply on top of it? What can you do with it? Kubernetes, containerization, right? All these key terms, you see, I'm also just really picking here and there, right? But these are terms that you probably can have a Google at, right, and read. Yeah. Then for, I think the back end people, of course, they are always the silent heroes for sure. People who just like to code and really don't really want to do something else, right? These people are also, I think for you, if you were to look at this as your own career, it's good as well, right? It's just what's important for you is being able to articulate. I think for technical people, as something as a general, maybe what will help is if you're able to articulate your technical requirements more, a little bit layman, right? Sometimes you can get a bit too technical, but you would want people to understand what you're trying to articulate and explain, and that will actually help you stand out further, right? So don't just look at, okay, I'm good at coding, right? I don't really need to care about if people want to hire me or not. I think what's important here is you being able to also, to people who is trying to kind of document and also help people to understand what you're trying to do. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that you're a little bit more well-rounded, but to a certain extent, no need to go all the way out to from something more in between. That will help you stand out definitely for technology people in the industry.
Okay, that's great advice. So do you have any tips for applying to a career in tech consulting?
Tips for applying, right? I think definitely the structure of resume is important. First of all, I think a one-pager resume is really more than enough to kind of talk about your skills, what you would like to do, right? What you've been exposed to, as well as probably, yeah, like for me, usually I will look for a very structured, crisp proposal, like a one-pager. It means that this person is able to summarize very well, right? And then I'll look for some key exposures. Things like, have you been learning something on your own, right? Things like prototyping, right? Have you been exposed to those level of detail, right? Are you aware of any form of methods of working? I will also look for some key softwares, things like, do you actually learn to do your projects? Like you have a lot of collaborations in uni, right? How do you actually try to do it differently, right? Do you actually maybe use some form of tools to manage things digitally? Like Trello board is free, right? Do you use Trello board to actually kind of try looking into how do you actually track progress of your work together as a team, right? How do you collaborate, right? I think things like this is something that students can look into as well, because how you actually work well among yourselves as students, right, can be applied to real world as well, you see, because now everything is so virtual and digital. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. What is the difference between the branches of consulting, like in strategy, technology, in management?
For EY specifically, I'll just say for EY specifically, so it's easier for me to contextualize. So we have business consulting and technology consulting, right? So business consulting really looks after the core strategy works that is required by companies, right? Things like how do they see themselves in like a 5-year roadmap, that kind of thing, right? Or even strategizing a specific area within their company, right? Those are on a strategy level, right? As well as things like supply chain, right? I think that's a hot topic among students as well, right? Supply chain, so that's under business consulting, which is also the non-technology consulting side lah. So for technology consulting side, right, we have your digital strategy, right? So that's what I'm looking after. We are looking at how to help clients move towards staying relevant digitally, right? That's like a strategy level. It's a little bit gray area with business consulting, but this one is very specific to technology. So sometimes when we actually work with business consulting team to actually merge the strategies, right? Because you have your business strategy, which is your business priorities, and then you have your digital technology strategies, which needs to come hand in hand, right? So then there is also technology delivery, where we actually look at inside consulting, yeah, this one. So technology delivery, we actually look at specific teams which are focused on delivering technology for clients, meaning we actually have teams that build websites, portals, mobile apps, prototypes for people, right? We also have the digital and emerging technology pillar under technology consulting, which looks after things like robotic processing automation, which is RPA. We also have people looks at just now I mentioned the full stack development, right, for mobile apps and portals. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the next question. Do you have any advice you would give to your younger self at this stage of starting a career in tech consulting?
The advice that I would give to my younger self is probably still taking it one step at a time. Yeah, because honestly, looking at it 10 years or too far-fetched wouldn't actually help, because like you see now suddenly managing life, right, one step at a time is definitely going to be helpful, rather than keeping yourself overwhelmed with how do you step into the working world, like just like, oh, hey, I know everyone is competitive right now, you just want to do really well, but honestly, as long as you really have this attitude, you're already doing very well. Yeah, so don't worry about it so much.
Okay, so what roles make up the team and how do they differ? I think they meant that a team in a tech consulting working on a project.
I think it depends on what that team is supposed to do, right? So usually when I construct a team to deliver something, it depends on what is the context of that work we're trying to do, right? If let's say we were supposed to write a digital transformation blueprint for a client, let's say, or they want to know, they want a paper to just talk about, okay, what are the relevant trends to get into in terms of digital? What can they do from their current landscape into something better, right? Without just like throwing away the whole landscape, something can be improved, right? So what are the improvement points we can do? It's like a paper. Then you just need like a strategy team per se, in the sense technology people who writes what are the recommendations. So this team will be constructed from, if we do it in an agile manner, you would have a scrum master looking after the whole team's rituals. You will have a project manager looking after what the team is supposed to deliver, right? You will also have people who is supposed to write individual areas of the paper. So if it's a specific RPA topic, probably need someone who knows that area, right? Or if it's a specific, or if it's a broader, more general area, then someone with just, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it's a must, right? But someone who's just able to write about technology, right, can do the job, right? So that's a simple team. Another team construct will be, if we were to be developing, like I said just now, my project is actually developing relevant upcoming digital features for the app that we use to pay utility, right? Then you definitely need a Scrum Master to oversee the agile rituals again, a project manager to really look after the deliverables that we need to set up for the client. And then you need a technical lead, right? Because there's technology involved, overseeing the technical developers. So you need a group of developers, depending the mobile app technology stack, what does it write on, right? If it's specific technology like Microsoft, then you probably need all your Microsoft people, right? Then you also need functional lead who actually gathers requirements from business to say that, okay, I want the app to be doing feature A, B, C, D, right? Document those in a structured manner, pass those into your technical team, and then they will translate those into programming, right? So you need someone to actually do those level of requirements and logic. That's be a 10-man team. Yeah, that's something like, yeah.
Oh, you can see that there's a lot of roles, and like teamwork is really important in working on a project. Yeah, so, so moving on to the next question, how are the work-life balance and stress of the career?
This is a good question too. Honestly, I wouldn't sugarcoat it. It is definitely somewhat, there is stress in consulting because we are all hired to solve problems, right? And solving problems meaning sometimes time is tight. We need to really react fast, turn things around quickly, right? It's definitely high paced, fast paced, right? Hence why in consulting, we hire very diligent and people who are really looking forward for the challenge lah. How to balance, like I mentioned, how to manage your own time, definitely very important. Learn to really structure out your day, your week and month. Sometimes try to put in time to just really make time lah. I guess I don't believe the time that you can sit down and watch YouTube for 1 hour, you couldn't make it for, you couldn't use 30 minutes to just do a run or even do a quick yoga, right? It's just about whether you want to do it or not. Yeah, but yeah, making time for things is very important.
Yeah, I agree with that. So moving on to the next question, how much programming and related skills and knowledge are involved in tech consulting?
Programming and related skills and knowledge are involved. Okay, it depends on the role that you're applying for. If you're applying for a business analyst role, I would say, unless you're doing some form of prototyping, I don't think there's any programming so far. Yeah, actually no programming. But if you happen to be a very high achiever business analyst who can do it all, of course, we don't mind, right? But I think we don't control in a sense like, oh, okay, if you just want to do this, whereas in fact, actually, you can actually do a little bit of coding. Actually, there's flexibility to things, right? But we don't force you if, let's say, it's really not your thing, right? We don't really enforce it. We hire for specific roles. So if I need, for example, someone who knows programming and can do full stack or programming or front-end programming, I think interviewer or any employer would already ask upfront if you can do it lah. So if you say no, and I guess eventually if you're still hired, I don't think you'll be expected to do that.
All right, understood. So moving on to the next question, what makes a good tech consultant?
Tech consultant. Of course, if you're saying a good tech consultant, then definitely if you can have technology background and is curious about technology by nature and loves what you do in terms of technology area, I would say that is already making you stand out. Another thing I think which makes a good consultant is understanding the balance between what is latest and greatest tech versus what actually the client just needs. Sometimes a solution can be as basic and practical as using an Excel, to be honest, right? but because you're excited, you want to do like, oh, you know what, you can just build an app, do something very chunky, but in the end, it's about what is practical also. So what makes a good tech consultant is really sometimes being practical. Yeah.
Understood. So moving on to the next question, how does EY differ from other companies like Accenture, Deloitte, and other Big Four? And like, what do you like and dislike from? Yeah.
Okay. I think, I mean, I've been in one of these companies before. What do I like? I would say the fact that it's gotten me a stepping stone into this whole consulting world, and I still enjoy what I do. I think it's because it's given me the right perspective, right, the right leverage, and also the right growth that I need to really do what I do today. So I think all these names that you write here are definitely the best in the market, right? But what differs EY from them is the exposure that you get across doing technology consulting, in the sense it's not so just focused on technology delivery, right? So if you notice, EY actually has a very wide range of technology consulting work, in the sense we can do strategy all the way to implementation, right? So strategy here, right, it is what I said, right? Technology consulting strategy sometimes, or most of the time, is actually being done by big firms like McKinsey, right? BCG, Bain, right? Even AT Kearney, right? People like that. Okay, to do technology strategy, right? To say like, you know what, in 5 years you need to have this, in 10 years you need to do this, right? But EY actually gets hired to do this area, and we are also hired to do then implementation, you see. So in a way, we are actually, I would say, if I were to differ my experiences so far, EY gave me a very much broader, is this vertical? Vertical, right? Vertical exposure. Yeah. Vertical, horizontal, right? So those firms gave me very horizontal in-depth exposure, like any level of technology consulting, right? But whereas EY gave me that vertical exposure. Yeah. So things like crossing industry, because when there's strategy, right, and it normally doesn't take so long to deliver, so I'm exposed to more industries, as well as I actually get to see a lot more C-suites, to be honest. Yeah, C-suites a lot more, being not only the CTO, right? There's also CFO, CSO, whatever C level that you see here, because it's all strategy level planning, right? Yeah, so that's the difference lah.
Okay, that's interesting. So moving on, what certificates would employers like to see?
I don't think I actually look for certificates when I do interviews for fresh graduates, but it would be great if you already have Agile certification. Honestly, it'd be great. It would be good also if you have certifications in some form of, I'm not saying for everybody, yeah, it depends which path that you are looking for. For a more technical person, it would be good to have some form of cloud certification, because cloud is very relevant right now, right? So any cloud, right? AWS, Microsoft Azure, as long as you know cloud, is great. I also think some form of certification around the Microsoft stack would be good if you know Microsoft. So Microsoft has this Power Apps platform that actually allows us to actually quickly develop some form of app on it, right? There's certain limitations to Power Apps for sure, but it's integrated to Microsoft platform, so that's an advantage. Yeah, but I think I'm pretty chill with certifications, honestly.
Okay, so moving on, do tech consultants go through the traditional case interview process, or would it involve a test of hard skills and not case studies? Like, how can we prep for it?
I see. We conduct our interview, I think, face to face like this. We talk, we understand your passion, what do you actually want to do, why do you want to join, more on the thought process side of things. Technical skills for sure, we will go through, right? Like, what skills do you have? What do you study in uni? Actually, what kind of hands-on skill do you have? And another thing I need to mention, I forgot to mention, is you need to learn how to use PowerPoint and Excel. That's very important for consulting. Yeah. So these two must learn how to use. Yeah. So I think yeah, I think it's just like this, talking and questioning. No hard skills. I think those are for very senior people.
Okay, I see. So
Yeah.
moving on to the next question. Is system or business analyst considered as a consultant job? If yes, can you explain more about them and how to get a job or internship for it and how to prepare for that job?
Okay, if I understand system and business analyst correctly in terms of the context that I'm in, right? It means that it's someone that is that actually is not doing the programming, someone that is translating the requirements from business to technical people, right? Someone who is the bridge in between, someone who actually oversees, right? Whether what is being developed in terms of technology is meeting the expectation. I think if I recall correctly, you do study this as a role in your school, right? So you actually have like your functional requirements, right? What a technology is supposed to do, right? And then does it actually, what behavior is supposed to do, logics wise, all these are what a business analyst is supposed to go and find out from business representatives and translate it into being delivered, right? Or eventually, yeah, seeing it as an outcome. So you are the bridge, right? It's definitely a consultant job. In fact, it is a highly sought after role. Someone who is actually, that's why I mentioned, meticulous with things, very important. If yes, can you explain more? I think I just explained like how to get the job. I think a lot of companies are actually looking for business analysts in general. If you just apply, in fact, look for business analyst, you got it. In fact, actually, if you apply for technology consulting jobs, normally somewhat business analyst is part of the expectations, right? So I think that is a way to apply. Internship for it, yeah, same. How to prepare for it, I think, which is things I mentioned earlier. I think ways of working, how familiar are you with the technology trends, right? As well as why actually do you see yourself doing this? Like what skills do you see yourself bringing to the table to be able to do this well? Yeah, like how do you stand out from the rest of the business analysts, right? Yeah.
Okay. So what has been the most challenging case you have worked on?
I think the most challenging, it differs from different people, right? Some people would say it's long hours sometimes for them, or even the fast pace, or even the enduring, like some projects you really have to really push for results. I think for me, the most challenging one would be managing client expectations. It's not so much doing the work, it's more on how do you get them and you to be on the same page about what we're trying to reach here. Even though the goal may be the same, but how we get there, communications is really definitely something that is, I think at all levels, we all have to continuously improve on. So that's something that is at this point challenging for me. I think partially because of COVID, right? We have to all talk online and there's less, I think, sentiments and understanding of things, right? So then people tend to just be more straightforward, I would say. So yeah, that's probably a bit of the challenging side for me right now.
Okay, so moving on, EY are normally known as like one of those heavy stress and like work company. Do you think that is true from your point of view?
I think this statement should be consulting are known as one of the heavy. Yeah. Honestly, I think to set the right expectation for students, right? I think generally consulting as a career, for what nature it is, right? Being clients are hiring us to help produce results. Naturally, those are a little bit more stressful, and naturally, yeah, workload is definitely a lot, right? But I would say that it's not just EY, I think, yeah. Because I have been doing this for so long and I've been doing this for different firms, right? It's really the acceptance of the nature of the job, which gets you across the line, you see. If you're being, I think most of the time what I see and notice is we tend to get a bit resentful when, for example, we join something and we don't expect it to be so wow, like wow, I need to work so long hours, right? Sometimes maybe Saturday, Sunday, I also need to work and things like that, right? And I think it is good to just maybe it's not that you need to do it, honestly. It is only when necessary, like only like, oh, this week, you know what, we want to push for a final milestone, guys, let's do it together. If you are okay with it, right? Of course, it comes with a, like, you have to plan a little bit. If it's really something that you can't go through, right, you have to talk to your supervisor and things like that and manage it from there. But generally, the industry is definitely something that is on a higher pay side for sure, right? And I truly and genuinely would like to set the right expectation. It's like how people join audit, right? Audit of a nature is, honestly, it is very crazy, and I still do really respect how audit people has it as a lifestyle. Yeah, and I honestly think that consulting is better somehow. Yeah, so it's just a nature, right? If you're getting into the nature and you already know it's like that and you want to do it, then yeah, it's definitely for you.
I think it's also self-preference.
Yeah, correct. But definitely no sugar coating for you lah. I don't want to set the wrong expectation. Yeah.
Alright, so moving on to the next question. What is something that you're interested in but have yet to venture into?
Good question. I actually love fine arts, and I've actually been going into it. I've been doing a lot of acrylic painting, oil painting, right? I was actually looking to pursue this as my career, but Asian parents and things like that. Yeah, so technology is definitely something that is they see as something that is more lucrative per se. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't regret this, but yeah, this is something that I definitely would want to pick up on as a hobby.
Okay. So moving on to the last question, is it possible for fresh graduates to apply for companies such as EY, even though we have a low CGPA, but have the same passion and vision as EY?
Okay, I think if I were to look at it in terms of requirements for you to apply into the company, I think this one I would have to refer back to my team here, right? As to what's the baseline lah. Yeah, Liana, maybe you can help with this one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so for fresh graduates, of course there is a minimum benchmark where we accept students to join EY. So usually we will look at minimum second class honors. That's like as the basic requirement for applications to pass through for EY. Apart from that, if you think your academic rating or your CGPA is not very strong, but still within the second class honor, but maybe on the lower side of it, you can always apply with your extra co-curricular activities, because we do look at those as well. Yeah. So the reason for this is because we want to ensure that the recruits that we hire for EY have the basic skills in terms of the communication and whatever skills that we need in order for them to perform the job. So that's why we have set the minimum benchmark as second class honors for applicants.
I think that answers the question. So that's all for this session. So thank you, Carmen, for your really insightful session.
Sorry, it was a bit lengthy at points for some questions.
Yeah, we really gained insights about it. So moving on, I will pass the floor to Ileana and your team to present about it.
All right, sure. Let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so we have actually opened up applications if you are planning to do your internship soon, and you find what Carmen has shared previously was very inspiring, and you want to join EY and be part of the consulting team or tech consulting specifically, you can actually scan this QR code here, where you will take you to a Google form, and you can put in your details and upload your CV as well. I think my colleague will also put in the URL in the chat box. So you can also go through the URL if you don't want to scan this QR code. The reason why we're sharing this QR code is because, oops, sorry. So the reason why we're sharing this QR code is for you to be able to submit your CVs directly to our recruiters. So the difference between submitting your CVs through this Google form is that we will retrieve your CVs or download your CVs that you've downloaded, that you've uploaded through this code, and then pass it directly to our recruiters for them to assess. As opposed to going through our normal career portal, where you might need to wrestle with, you know, hundreds and thousands others. So this is more like a fast track channel for you to submit your CVs because you have already attended an engagement session with us. Okay. If you don't have a CV ready right now, that's fine. Don't worry about it. What you can do is just to bookmark the link in your browser, and then be sure or remember to upload your CV once it's ready through the bookmark that you have already saved. Okay, just make sure that there's one Google link, so you have to submit through this link itself. Apart from that, in the Google form, you can also indicate the choice of area that you want to pursue within EY. So maybe like now you've heard Carmen shared about the career in tech consulting. So maybe you can also indicate in the Google form that the area of expertise that you want to join is tech consulting, or you can also say data analytics, or anything that you think relates to your interests. And then our recruiters will assess based on what is stated in your CV. Okay, so I hope everyone has saved the link or the Google form link, or at least scan the QR code here, because I do have another QR for you to scan. Every year, EY participates in Graduates' Choice Award and also Malaysia's 100 Leading Graduate Employers Awards. So this year, actually, we've been consistently on the number 1, number 2 ranking among all top companies in Malaysia. And luck is actually on our side, because this year we are number 1 in terms of the in the accounting and professional services sector, as well as the consulting sector. So that's why we have professionals and experts like Carmen, you know, who contribute to our consulting business, and we have people like her to help groom young students like you who are aspiring to join consulting firms like EY, to, you know, groom them to be the next level of the next generation who can then take over to be the next gen leaders. So if you think the values, your own values are aligned to the values that we have in EY, and also you find that what Carmen has shared previously is somewhat aligned to what you want to do in your career, or aspires to be at some point when you have graduated, maybe you can scan this QR code. We really appreciate if you can do it now or by today. So then we'll be able to track the votes that come in. I'm going to quickly bring you through. Once you have scanned the QR code, you will be required to fill in a few details, your personal details. And then once you have reached question number 10, you will be asked to select the sector of your choice. So as you know, EY is actually known as a professional services firm. So you will be asked to select the different sectors within 6 groups. So meaning you have to select a few sectors in group 1, a few sectors in group 2, a few sectors in group 3, and so on until 6 groups. So for the first group, make sure you select accounting and professional services, and then you can also select a few other categories to make sure that you have enough
number of selections, and then continue with consulting in the preferred sector. Okay, so once you've done that, for the rest of the group, you can put in any sector of your choice, but just make sure that in group 1, accounting and professional services is included, and in group 2, consulting is also included. Okay, and then as you proceed through the form, you will then be asked about on a question which asks you which employer do you want to work for. So if you think the career in EY is exciting to you and it's something that you want to explore, and it appreciate if you can select EY as the most favored employer for accounting and professional services, as well as consulting. So just remember the first 2 groups that you selected earlier, make sure the answers are also aligned in the employer of choice or in the later question. Okay. All right, so I hope you've started the survey form. If not, you can always go to the URL as stated on the screen here, www.graduatechoiceaward.com/vote. So we'd really appreciate if you can complete the voting by today itself. Thank you so much. And if you haven't followed our social media handles, our social media page, you can do so. Our Instagram name is EYMY Careers, our Instagram handle. We are also present on Facebook. Our Facebook page is called EY Careers Malaysia. And on LinkedIn, we do have a closed group called EY Careers Malaysia. So you just search in the search bar, EY Careers Malaysia, and then you'll be taken to a LinkedIn group where you can then click request to join. In the meantime, feel free to join us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, and also our Facebook page. So that's all from my end. Thank you so much, everyone, for following this section today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I love the discussion between Cheryl and Miss Carmen, and such a lively chat to allow us to have a better visualization and of what to expect from a tech consultant. It is certainly not easy, but not impossible as well, with hard work and determination.